WHMS Studios, specializing in crazy conversions and awesome paint jobs, as well as battle reports. Alright, so here we got Necromunda Dark Uprising, and today we're going to do some conversions to the terrain set. And obviously, this terrain set is awesome, the Zone Mortalis terrain. The only problem with it is it's super modular, but then when you go to play on it, you're like knocking stuff all over the place and it's falling apart, and then you're fixing it. And there's a fine line between like what you want to glue, so it's stable, but also like what you want to leave unglued. So it's still fun and modular, and I'm still experimenting with it myself. And I've already built quite a bit of it, but there's a couple of modifications and discoveries I've made along the way, and I want to basically share them with the community. So today, this video is going to focus on our little pillar setups, basically right here, or columns if you want to call them that. But essentially, what we're doing is these guys, obviously everybody knows, leave the top out, and then you can stack them on top of each other. But what we want to do is, there's places where basically like, the pipes can interact with them and stuff like that. And what we want to do is be able to, have those pieces stay together without like your pipe just rolling all over the board and stuff like that. So there's pieces in here that are set up so these can go together. But if you glue one piece and then they're just kind of like sitting next to each other. So what we did today is added in some magnets inside here. So you'll see now we have basically one of those same pillars, and this one has 3 magnets in it. So you'll see it has one at the bottom here, and you can connect like the accessories onto that, and they just sit in place correctly. And then you'll see there's one at the top here, and I say bottom and top because there's like 2 positions, a lower position and an upper position. And the upper position you put like the tank and some of the other accessories. And then on top of the actual thing itself, this is a handle, because it's a pain to try to pick these up and take them out if you want to flip one over and build. But also, it's another little accessory on top of there. And then when you're ready, you can basically take that off, and you can take one of these pieces and let it clip right on the top there, and now you have like your little piece, and then you can start to build on top of that. So you can take like one of these pipes, which have also been magnetized as well, and you can set it on there and it'll stay in place. As you can see, so you basically just have all these abilities to like build and move things around. So if you want the pipe to be coming out the side here, you put this one right here, and then you can basically just have it built all over the board. And it's a lot cooler, it gives you a lot more options. You don't have everything like falling all over the place. Basically, you'll still obviously get some drops and some falls and whatnot, but now it gives you the ability to essentially have these pieces like free moving around and connecting, and you can build like your joints around buildings and in positions where normally you wouldn't be able to do that without gluing them in place. But now you don't have to worry about that, and you can later change it however you want, expand onto your board as you get more pieces, more time to build it, more stuff painted. But as you can see, you essentially end up with just like all these different accessories that you can build onto these with, and change the positions of them depending on what your board looks like, or if there's a wall connecting, so you can't have an accessory right there, obviously you take that off, and then you can put your wall in place. And then in a game where your board is okay, you can put your accessories back on however you like. And when it's all painted over and everything, you're not going to see most of that stuff. It doesn't really interfere with anything as far as like gameplay itself, but it adds like a ton of stability to everything, obviously. So we can just kind of pop one of these off here, and you'll see we have this cool lift and everything. And now you can remove your lift, take that away, if you didn't want it in a game and you wanted something else, or nothing there. And then a game when you do want the lift, maybe you don't want guys to be able to take that little shortcut right there. So you can just leave the lift off. I still haven't quite gotten this whole system down completely. Every once in a while, these things. I don't know. I'm having a brain fart on this one. fighting me. But you can see essentially like the basic setup of it, and then it's clipped in place. But then if later on you wanted to like you know, change that position or whatever, or put a lift somewhere different because you thought that was like too advantageous, you could come over here, take off one of them, you know what I mean, and have it, oh, I'm sorry, that's the low one, we need the high one. So we switch that one over here, give it a little spin around there, and boom, clips into place. You don't have to worry about the weight of the models, like knocking this thing off here. Matter of fact, I'm pretty clumsy, and I like always hit stuff, and you'll see obviously it didn't fall apart right there. Yeah, I don't know, I still haven't, every once in a while, one of these things will just fight you. Like knocking my whole board apart, they're trying to fix that one thing. But anyway, you can see obviously I'm still experimenting as well. There's a lot of stuff I have not glued, just because I don't want to glue things and then find out, you know, later on I shouldn't have glued it or change it or whatever. But anyway, I could play with this stuff all day, and I do. It's extremely fun and extremely cool. You know, once you get to mess around with a couple of these things and you realize how fun it is and how much cooler it is when they're like clipping in place and staying where they're supposed to stay, and you can still move all your models around and have a good time with it. It's not perfect yet. I am still like changing things as we go. You know, but I did want to just share like an easy way that essentially you can be doing this yourself. So what I'm going to do is start with one of these top pieces to magnetize it. So you could basically do like one of these deals right here, and then you can build off of that with some of the different like pipes that are available. You know what I mean? And different like configurations or whatever. Obviously, if you take another bend there, or use some of the different stuff, you know, you can mess with them, but at least they'll like stay in position when you're trying to play and have a good time instead of falling all over. So that's just kind of sitting up there. But anyway, so we're gonna magnetize this piece here just to get started with, and all the notes for like the size of magnets and everything like that will be in the video notes. But essentially what I'm doing is taking the drill bit, and I want to just right in the tip of the fan itself, I want to get the drill bit, and I'm just going to put like a tiny little impression right there, and then when I go to drill it, theoretically it'll stay centered, but you do have to pay attention and keep it lined up, and it's definitely a process, but it doesn't have to be perfect, you know what I mean, and you can kind of guide it as you go. But now you'll see I have like the actual hole started there, and it's a pretty nice size hole. It's drilling out the majority of the piece there. Alright, and I went all the way through. You don't have to if you don't want to, but essentially once you got that hole in there, what you're going to do is, if it's your first piece, it doesn't matter, you can do whatever you want, but if you've already like started doing this, you need to take your magnets and line them up correctly with the pieces you already have. So once you see that hole there, just going to get a little bit of super glue, put it right down where that magnet's about to go, and then we're just going to take this and push one of them in there, and once you get just a little pressure, you see it just like sticks in there on its own. Now I'm just going to take the back of a tool or something like that and just kind of like straighten it out a little bit with just a little bit of pressure. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you know, you want it basically like lined up pretty good if you can get it in there, and then when you take like your little accessory bit or whatever, it's gonna stick right on there, and cool. So that's one of those pieces magnetized, and it doesn't change the function or anything of it. So if you decide you don't want to have it magnetized, or you later glue it or anything like that, it's not going to change anything. But now you can basically take one of these pieces. You see how you have to do that? You have to pick this up to pull this piece out. You can switch this out with this piece now, and now look, I don't have to take apart my board every time I want to take one of these little things off. When it's stuck on there, it'll just pull the top right off, because once these sit in place nice, they almost like just like bond in there like temporarily, and the less you move them, the more like solid they stay. So now with this, I can easily take the top piece off if I do want to build on it with one of these other like accessories or whatever. So I can switch that out, boom, and we're good, start building. Or if I don't, see how strong that magnet is. So if that was like staying on there a little bit better, you would see. But anyway, you can pull that right off the top, leave it on there, pull it on, shake it off, flip that bad boy upside down. And then if you were saying like wanting to add on top of that now, it's not going to interfere with whatever you got going on over there. And then you can continue to just build somewhere else, you know, whatever it is that you're trying to do. But I mean, like I said, I could do this all day. But essentially, you get the point there. So now what I want to do is show you how to magnetize these columns right here. And then we can do one of them. And I got to grab one. Alright, and this is, everybody's familiar obviously with Easter eggs in the video game world and everything, but you know, I'm taking it like still on the sprue just because it's easier to handle everything and you know, a little bit easier to like manipulate. But there's a total Easter egg on these. Like, game designers built this. You know, Warhammer 40k community hasn't talked about it. Designers haven't talked about it. Nobody's noticed it. As far as I know, I'm the first. So remember, you heard it here first, guys. But I'm not going to keep this to myself. I want to share this with everybody because, to me, I found a huge Easter egg, and it's a total life hack for this terrain here. Okay, but it's really much more useful if you haven't assembled everything yet. So you might be out there buying another set if you're rushing to put it together like I did. So here we got the terrain sprue right here for the columns and everything, all the accessories. And now what we're going to do is we're going to flip it over here. And I'm going to grab a little stack of these magnets that I have. Alright, and as you can see that hole right there? Our magnet takes up about, can you see that in there? Takes up about 95% of that hole right there. So, you know, magnetizing these pieces right here, all we're going to do is, I know it's hard to see, but you'll see the important stuff. What matters is if I can see. So you just put a little glue down in those two things. Again, if it's the first piece you're magnetizing, whatever, just glue a magnet down somewhere so everything you magnetize in the same direction. But you're just going to drop a couple magnets in there. And then all we're going to do is take something that's not magnetic now. And we're just going to give a tiny little bit of pressure right there. And you'll see the excess glue just kind of squeeze out on the sides. Depending on how much you put, you might not see any. But there you have it. Now those are magnetized. We're done. We're still attached on the sprue. Obviously very, very simple. Now we're going to do this one. This one you have to have, well, you don't have to do anything, but it's a lot easier if you've already done something else already. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to take a guy that's already magnetized with the magnet in the back here. We're going to just sit it right in front, lined up as perfectly as we can. So these two, like one sitting inside of the other basically in there. And then now we're going to take another magnet. I already put glue on those little three pieces there. And I don't even have to mess with it. It's going to magnet the right way. It's going to go the right way on itself with the polarity. So it basically lined itself up right in the middle. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of extra glue right around the edges in there. And then very carefully, all I'm going to do is hold in the sprue right here. I'm just going to pull this straight away. And now bam, our magnet's in place and stuck for now. We'll just give it a tiny little bit of pressure. And that's it. We're good to go. And now here's the true Easter egg part, okay guys? Because on those, you're going to get on each of these pillar sprues, we're going to have a total of 8 sides. So it's going to make 2 full pillars, all right, and then 2 tops that you can flip over as well, obviously. And now each of these pillars, do you see those little lines on the inside of them? The little lines are basically a guide. And that's our Easter egg, ladies and gentlemen. Because all we're going to do is, and what I did is just to mix it up a little bit, you know, if we have 8 of these and there's 2 guides on each one, if you take it and you drill out, you have a total of 1, 2, 3,